So we have three theorems that we want to do for chapter 10.8. These are called the power theorems. So they're a little bit easier to write using just kind of notation as opposed to written out in words. But written on words, it said if two chords of a circle intersect inside the circle, then the product of the segments of one chord equals the product of the segments of the other chord. So in our picture, the product of the segments of one chord, so that would be CB times BF should be equal to the product of the other segments. So DB times BE. And notice this works for any two chords drawn in the circle, even if they're both diameters, because in that case they would both be congruent and our theorem would still hold. The next theorem that we want to talk about is if you have a tangent segment and a secant segment. So again, we're talking about lengths here for this chapter as opposed to angle measures. So the square of the tangent segment, so that's IF. So just the piece from the point out here to that point of tangency. So the square of that, IF squared, is equal to the product of the secant segment. So that's the whole secant segment. So IG times the external part, which would just be HI. The last theorem that we have is if we have two secants. So again, we're drawing from an external point. The product of one of the secant segments and its external part. So again, we're talking about the whole length of that secant segment. So FM times just the external part, so just LM, should be equal to the same multiplication with the other secant. So JM, again the whole secant, times just the external part, which would be KM.